The Flash came out last week, and it didn't do as well as it expected. It was tracking to do anywhere between 75 and 80 million dollars, and wound up pulling 55 million dollars. Nowhere to go but up, right? This weekend it's not looking particularly good. It looks like it's dropping at least 70% to about 15 million. It's dropping to number 3 at the box office. What's worse is that maybe tomorrow morning we'll realize No Hard Feelings actually made more than The Flash this weekend. That is shocking, that is surprising, and yet somehow not surprising at the same time after you watch this video. So this is a video I want to try doing. I want to try doing a series of videos whenever something like this happens, where a movie underperforms in some way, and I kind of want to talk about it because I feel like there is not just one singular issue for a movie and why it bombs, but it has to be like a domino effect of like all these other movies, all these other reasons why a movie just didn't do so well. So let's talk about this. The Flash underperforming at the box office. This is just a crazy domino effect. And there's so many reasons as to why I feel like this movie kind of underperformed. I wrote down at least 11 reasons. I'm going to try to get through them as quickly as possible. So let's get the number one reason out of the way. Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller is very problematic. He's had a lot of issues, which I won't go into, and I feel like a lot of people just saw that and they're like, I kind of don't want to support this movie. I don't want to support this movie if they're in it. And they clearly have a lot of issues, and they're clearly not really doing anything about it, and they're not out there promoting the movie and everything and such. Kind of like back when, remember the Me Too movement, all the money in the world, when Kevin Spacey was, removed from that movie and was replaced with Christopher Plummer. If they had done that, then maybe it would have been better, and that way all the hard work of everyone else involved maybe wouldn't have been tarnished. And at least you could explain it away because it is in a multiverse movie. Number two, hardly any promotions for this movie. Now, they did release a trailer during the Super Bowl, which is a pretty big deal. But other than that, there hasn't really been a whole lot in terms of like promotion. Now, some of that may be blamed on the writer's strike because all these stars like Michael Keaton and Sasha Calle, they can't go on talk shows right now and talk about the movie or show clips or anything like that. I think that might have hindered the movie. And obviously, you can't really send out Ezra Miller to do the promotional tour either, with all their troubles. So it kind of made things a little bit more difficult to try to promote this movie in some way. Maybe that was one of the reasons why. Number three, superhero fatigue. I've been hearing this one a lot, and I don't think we're quite there with the superhero fatigue yet. Yeah, The Flash bombed. Yeah, Shazam! Fury of the Gods bombed. And Ant-Man the Wasp and Quantumania bombed. But at the same time, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is doing incredibly well. Meanwhile, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has been holding up pretty well at the box office. I don't think there's superhero fatigue per se. I just feel like people are becoming a little bit, they're choosing wisely with superhero movies. I feel like they will only go and see superhero movies if it has like the fresh tomato, like the certified fresh tomato on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I try not to put any stock in Rotten Tomatoes because like that, I feel like that's not like an accurate way of rating movies. But if people see that it's got like a certified fresh, maybe they're more inclined to see it rather than something just like a regular old tomato. Like I think that's what The Flash got, and I think Ant-Man the Wasp and Shazam both got like, they didn't get any tomatoes, they just got that splotch on it. So that may have caused those movies to not perform as well as they were expecting to. I don't know if we're quite there with superhero fatigue yet, but maybe we are there with multiverse storylines because we've gotten so many of them. There are so many superhero multiverse storylines now. We've had Spider-Verse come out. We had Spider-Man No Way Home, and even Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I'll throw in there. Maybe it's just, I don't want to say it's a niche subject matter, but maybe we're just getting so many of them and so quickly. It's just kind of annoying. Number 5, the DC reboot. Like, DC is basically in the middle of a reboot, and yet they have this, and they also have Blue Beetle coming out, and they have Aquaman 2 coming out, and chances are, kind of like The Flash and Shazam, those movies are probably not going to do well. James Gunn's going on about the Superman reboot that's going on right now, and it's kind of hard to be like, okay, yeah, this is the first official movie in this universe. He said that with every last movie in the DCEU, including Shazam. Or did he say that with Shazam? I don't think he did, but he said that with The Flash. He's probably going to say that with Blue Beetle. He'll probably say that with Aquaman too to try to save face a bit, but it's just not really working out so well. People just know that this whole universe is just going to be rebooted anyway. So what is even the point of going to see this movie that is not going to really build on anything or really just try to do anything new? Meanwhile, the DCEU has kind of been pretty hit or miss over the years. They have not had a lot of success in there. Yeah, sure. Batman of Steel, Batman v Superman made money, but reviews were not kind to them. Wonder Woman's probably the only major success out of there. Maybe Aquaman, because that did make $1 billion. Shazam was not that big of a hit, and Shazam Fury of the Gods made even less money, so that's not working out. Wonder Woman 1984 was a dud. Birds of Prey was a dud. It just seems like the whole universe has just been kind of hit or miss, even with Justice League. I don't know. Like, I keep hearing, like, all these, like, I see all these people online saying, oh, this is a great universe and such, and Zack Snyder should be in charge of it. It's like, well, just because you're loud doesn't mean that you're in the majority. Because, like, these movies just don't do that well, unfortunately. Marvel does a lot better than this. They make at least twice as much as these movies do. So, I don't want to be that guy who's like, Marvel's better than DC or anything, but it's definitely noticeable that DC does not really make as much money as Marvel unless they have like a really great product. Like the Batman competed, Joker competed, Wonder Woman competed, Aquaman competed. Like those actually really stepped up to be like, be as big as a Marvel movie. And yet there's all these other movies that kind of just like fall flat and they just don't work. And I would be really concerned if you were involved with Blue Beetle or Aquaman 2. At number 6, the massive budget. Just why? They kind of just make all these... They just give like $200 million to any movie that has like any sort of IP with it. And maybe they should just stop with the massive budgets and kind of cut back a bit. Why? It's like $200 million to market, probably more... $200 million to make, and probably more than that to make. Also, like, you have to count marketing costs. So this movie needs to do extremely well. It needs to make close to $1 billion just to be considered successful. You kind of just need to know, it's like, what kind of movie you're making. And they probably thought The Flash was going to be pretty good and probably do really well. But again, all these other things I'm listing, like the DCU in general and all the trouble with Ezra Miller, maybe just didn't really help matters. At number 7, are there too many movies at the box office? I've seen so many people complain about this. Like, oh, there's too many movies out there. Yeah, like in the last few weeks, we've gotten a big blockbuster here and there. But this is kind of what it was pre-COVID. We would have like a big movie every week. This year we had, we had The Flash, we had Transformers, we had Spider-Verse, Little Mermaid, Fast X. And pretty soon we're going to have movies like Indiana Jones, Mission Impossible, Barbie, Oppenheimer. So this is kind of what the summer used to be like before COVID. At least in that era of COVID, it seemed like there was like one big movie every few weeks. Like, I feel like we're just slowly trying to get back into it. And, not every movie can do well. They can't all make money, and some have to fall by the wayside, and The Flash was one of them. There were also so many pre-screenings of this movie. This movie premiered back in April at CinemaCon. Like, why? Why would you do that? Maybe just show clips? Sure. But the entire movie? Come on. And also they showed it to a lot of fans, and like they showed it to a lot of people who were really looking forward to this movie. So maybe it's like, oh, we saw it. Maybe we don't want to go see it again because we already saw it for free, basically. And I remember back in 2010, they did that with Kick-Ass and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and those movies did not do well. They did get cult followings, so that's at least something. So maybe that's the best thing for The Flash, is that it will probably have a massive cult following. Number 9, the visual effects. I think the visual effects narrative kind of hurt this movie a lot. Now, Andy Muschietti was like, oh, it looks bad on purpose. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you really sure? Or are you just trying to save face there? Yeah, they do look pretty bad at times, particularly in that opening scene at the hospital. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But I think it definitely kind of hurt it a bit. It's like, I don't think people want to go and see a movie that they know is going to have terrible visual effects. It's different from a movie where it's like you go in and not knowing how terrible the visual effects are, but it definitely kind of hurt. Like once that got out, it spread like, I don't want to say spread like wildfire because there's still those wildfires going on right now, but it just went viral, is all I'll say. Meanwhile, at number 10, I'm going to put the nostalgia bait in this movie because I feel like the nostalgia bait of having Michael Keaton as Batman maybe didn't help it as much as they thought it would. It definitely helped No Way Home because I feel like that's a little bit closer in time than Batman was. Like Michael Keaton hasn't played Batman since 1992. So maybe people don't have as much nostalgia for that. I feel like a lot of people have a little bit more nostalgia for someone like, say, Christian Bale as Batman or even Ben Affleck as Batman, but not Michael Keaton. As much as good as he is as Batman, as arguably one of the best Batman out there, I just feel like maybe there wasn't as much nostalgia bait for that. And admittedly, again, the reviews weren't as glowing. Yeah, sure, the reviews were great out of CinemaCon and pre-screenings. They got Tom Cruise to say it was a great movie, James Gunn to say it was a great movie. Even Stephen King was like, this is a great movie. But I guess that just didn't really translate into, great reviews. Like, they saw the movie themselves and kind of formed their own opinions and are like, it's fine, I guess. Personally, I just felt the movie was fine. It didn't blow me away by any means, but I can definitely say there's some good things and there were some bad things in it. I won't even go as far as say it was the best superhero movie I've ever seen. Not even close. Not even for this year. We're not even halfway through the year. And I've seen better superhero movies than this. So I feel like there were a lot of reasons why this movie kind of underperformed. Ezra Miller, they couldn't really promote the movie. Superhero fatigue may be setting in. The multiverse storylines are just getting out of control. DC being rebooted, the massive budget, maybe too many movies at the box office, all the pre-screenings, the VFX, lackluster nostalgia weight, and admittedly the reviews just weren't as glowing as people probably were expecting them to be. So, why do you think The Flash underperformed? Probably one of the reasons that I just mentioned. Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat. Stay safe.